Howdy ho, Stampers, Deb Valder here. Welcome back to my studio, and today we're going to do another slimline card, but we're going to watercolor, and that's what my main focus is on, is this watercoloring. I've done several of these cards with 3 different stamp sets, added some embellishments and some dies just to make them look so different. So you can use these dies and these stamps and make just numbers and numbers of cards and never make them look the same. So let's just focus on the stamp sets that I've used. This one right here is the stamp set that is called Blossom Border, and it is absolutely exquisite. I've done a whole series on these, or I've done a video and a blog post on these. Here are some of the other ones from that post. Okay, here's this one, and you'll notice that I've used it the long way, and I used both pieces in there. So when you get your set, you get two borders. So you have one going one way, one going the other way, so that you can use them for things just like this. You can actually frame your piece with the stamp set. So that's the first one. Then I have this one right here where I only used one piece and I framed it around this rectangle right here. And the same with this one right here, but I added just a few more elements to this to make it even more poppable. It's just really pretty. So that one's called Blossom Border. And then for this one right here, I used the beautiful Hydrangea Border, and it is gorgeous. It not only has the 2 border sets in it, but it has this little element. And you know, when you watercolor, adding little elements here and there, and you're going to see me doing a lot of this, yeah, adding a little element here and there just makes it absolutely pop. And let me just show you what I mean by that. So here's the main stamp set, and remember this one has a frameable one, so it has the opposite side, so I could have framed it just like I did the other one. And then I added these cute little elements right here, just soft and subtle, just to make it fill in just a little bit more. So this one is the Hydrangea Border, and then the one I'm going to be just showcasing today is this right here, and this is the Poppy Border. So let me just show you how I prep these to begin with. Because they are photopolymer, they're clear, so you really can't see them. And when you're watercoloring with markers, you really do need to see where you're markering them. So something that I'm going to tell you that I don't normally tell you is I like to keep my clear stamps clean. And that's one of the things that I have negative about clear stamps, is that you just can't keep them clean. But for this right here, we definitely want to have them so that you can see them, because as you'll see with my watercoloring, you want to be able to know where the flowers start and the leaves end. So what I do is I just take my ink and I very lightly just kind of outline them, so that I know where to start and where to stop. Now I'll let this dry. I want it to stain so I have it forever. All right, so it starts out clear, but when you go to use it, it is going to be now visible. Okay, so I'm just gonna set this aside and let it dry, because I want it to stay. I do want it to stain, which I thought I would never say. All right. All right, so the next thing I want to show you is our markers. So we're going to be doing this watercolor marker, or watercolor piece with watercolor markers. You're also going to need paint brushes. So I use these little guys right here. I have somewhere I have my number 1 also, but I can't find it right now. So I use 3 different sizes. I use a 1, a 4, and a 6. For this piece, all I'm going to do is use the number 4 and a few of these markers. I get the markers from these little sets right here. So this is our basic set right here, and it's just your accessory kit. Okay, so you've got your basic markers, you've got your number 4 pen, you've got your watercolor paper, and you've got your palette. And these are all found in the Teaspoon of Fun shop, so hop on over. You can click on the little eye right up here above, and that'll get you right to the shop. All right, so that is your basic kit. I am taking a few colors outside the basic kit, and we have in the shop 2 more sets. Okay, so these are the ones that I've used. These are the basic ones. You probably don't need any more colors than those, because you've got all of your basic colors in there. For this particular card, because it is a slimline, I had to use some of my new slimline dies found in the shop, and that are these right here. This one right here is called the Slim Ornate Banner, and it has 3 pieces to it. It has your larger piece. Let me just show you the sizes of them. So on your slimline card, and we do have packs of slimline cards in the shop, so you don't have to do any coloring or cutting, excuse me. We are going to color today. There's 10 in a pack, and they're pre-packaged for you, ready to go. All right, so that is my base card, but I just wanted to show you the 3 elements and the sizes that they are. So we've got our large one, we've got our medium one, and we've got our small one, and these fit on your slimline card right here. So you have all of the basics. All right, so today we're going to be using not the large one, but the medium one and the small one. So we'll set these little guys aside and we'll get started. Oh, here's my little number 1 brush. Okay, so we're not going to use that one today. We're going to be just using these little guys right here. We also need our palette, and we're going to need a palette, and that is found in that accessory kit. I'm just going to set that right there so that you can see what I'm doing. You're also going to need your little tray with water in it. And new to the shop are our little silicone bottles, and they hold my water. All right, so the price point is absolutely phenomenal. Grab yourself one so that you have water all the time. All right, I'm just going to pour some water into my little wells right here to keep my brushes clean and to add water to my paint. Or to my markers here. The more water you use, the lighter it gets. If you make a mistake, you just add water to your brush and just brush it out. All right, so this is the card that we're going to be doing. So I'm going to take out my Misty right here, and I'm going to show you. Let's move this out of the way for now because I don't want to spill it. All right, so I already mounted my stamps. You know, I don't touch the stamps, okay? So I mounted them with my gloves on, and I'm just going to show you how we did this. So I'm going to get my markers out. All right, so for this one right here, I'm going to set my little tag right inside here. Okay, add my magnet to it, and we're going to get started. All right, so for this one right here, I used the blue. So I'm going to take 2 of our blues. We're going to take the 565, and we're going to take the 428. I'm going to start with the 428 and marker in my flowers. Now, it's very important to use the side of your brush because you don't want to ruin the tips. So I just kind of hold it and use just the side of it. And I'm just going to kind of mix and match. This is the lighter of the 2 blues. And we're just going to outline. If you get some onto the green, it's okay. I'm going to take, there's a few little of these, and this is why it's so important for you to kind of, what I call condition your stamps, because you have to see where to put the color. All right, so here's this, and here's a few more of those little guys. And you see, now you can start seeing the flowers come to life. All right, you can actually start really seeing them. Alrighty, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and add just a little bit of blue, of the darker blue, excuse me. I'm not going to recolor the whole thing, I'm just accenting it, just to give it a little bit more depth. And we're going to be moving the watercolor around, so it doesn't have to be perfect. All right, so now we're just going to take and stamp that. And we're going to add a little bit more. Remember, you're only getting the flowers, and that's why I love the Misty. Now, if you were working in your journal or your Bible, you can't put that in the Misty. But watercolor paper, you really want to use the Misty because it's very textured, and you might need a couple of extra little stamps, okay? And that's why we just kind of keep doing this. It also dries, so you want to make sure that you work kind of fast, not when you're using your Misty, because we can just keep redoing it like I just did. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my 2 greens. Sorry about that. I have my 2 greens. So let me just tell you the numbers on the blue, because they come from your set. 565 and 528. Now, they will all be listed on my blog post, so don't worry if you're not getting this. Like I said, we're gonna list them all on the blog. All right, 098 and 249 are the 2 greens that I'm gonna use, and I'm just gonna go over real quick with the lighter color. All right, so that's my lighter color. I'm now gonna add some of my darker, just a little bit, not a whole lot. And if I've missed any, I can go back in just a little bit. All right, let's see if I got all of them. And if I didn't, like I said, I'm gonna go back in. So pretty. Just make a real quick check to make sure I got all of the little stems, and I did, so that was perfect. So let's take and move this out of the way. The best way to clean this is with just plain water. So I'm going to take our new little scrubby. I'm going to add a little bit of our water here. And you, yeah, you didn't see the whole thing. All right, so all I did was I just washed it with this, and then I dried it off. And you'll see how nice and clean it got. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. All right, so now what we're going to do is put this little guy away, and we're going to start coloring. Let's bring back in our water. All right, and remember I used my little silicone. It's nice to have that handy all the time by your workstation. It's tiny enough that you're not going to take up a lot of space. All right, let's bring in our markers and our piece right here. And we're going to just start watercoloring. Let's just move some of these up. There we go. All right, so we're going to take our brush, and this is how easy this is. Dip your brush into the water. You want to pinch it off because you don't want a whole lot of water on there. And then you're just going to take, and don't go scrubbing around, and don't color the whole thing in. What you're going to do is pick up the lines right here and then just kind of bring them in. All right? So it's not a whole lot of coloring for right now. It's just kind of softening up everything that you just stamped. Okay, can you start seeing it come to life? So pretty. Let's move this up just a little bit. Okay, so I'm working on the blues right now. So all the flowers, I'm just taking, I'm not coloring it in. I'm just bringing the lines in. Now see, I've already got 2 of the flowers already done. Make sure you leave some white because that's what gives it character. Dip and pinch every single time because you do not want too much water. All right. See how I'm just kind of, I'm not oversaturating. Just soften up these lines. All right. Look at how pretty that is so far. So light, so pretty. And you can make this as dark or as light as you want. All right, we want to go back and make sure we get these little berries. I'll add a little bit of blue after to them also. Okay, so make sure you leave your white. Okay, I'm just going to go up. I'm going to leave the center of that because that's where my yellow is going to go. Bring down from the top just a little bit. And this is just so relaxing. And the beauty to this is if the phone rang and you had to go answer the phone call, or, you know, you had to go start supper and you were right in the middle of this, you can come back to this anytime. This is watercolor paper and watercolor ink. So remember, I just dipped and pinched. And you know that you need more water when it starts feeling a little scrubby, when it feels dry and you can hear that scratch. So if you're doing this along with me, this is fantastic. This is 2020, and it is Labor Day weekend. And over on our Teaspoon of Fun shop, we've got a great sale going on. So make sure you check out all the art impressions, stamps, and accessories. And you'll see we've got some great sales going. All right. Just soften up these lines. All right. We're not going to do too much for right now because we're going to go and do some of the green. And like I said, I can go back and I can add color, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But now I'm going to work on my greens. All right. So I'm going to do this. I think I will use my number 1. It's a good thing I found it. These little guys right here are very, very tiny. Now, the little tiniest of these, the ones with the berries are on, you don't want to touch those at all. Because if you do, it's going to look like this massive trunk. And these are just really little tiny. So these are the ones I'm talking about. These little berries right here. Do not use water on those because they're just too delicate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my number 1, make sure your brush is clean. You're still going to pinch it off, and we're going to work into some of these leaves and vines right here. Again, don't do a lot and make sure that you leave some white. All right. We're going to go back in and add a little bit of yellow at the end. Pinch. Every time you use your water, make sure you pinch it off, because otherwise you're going to have too much water and you're going to have a real mess. But you can always go back and erase with your water, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, I'm just picking up some of the color here. Spreading it around. Okay. So right now, doesn't look really a lot like a watercolor piece because we haven't softened up all the lines and kind of dragged it out, and you'll see as we get going, you're going to see how it's going to transform into a nice watercolor piece. Not that this isn't. If you like the clean cut, I'd stop as soon as I got these leaves done. I'd stop right there. All right. There are two different ways. Let me just show you this little guy right here. All right. So we kind of let it ooze its way out there. Okay, just kind of bringing that color in. Just bring that color in. See how beautiful that is? Oh, so pretty. All right, I'm going to go back in with my bigger brush and do these leaves just a little bit more. Put your water on, make sure you pinch it off, and go back in. There we go. We're just softening up all the lines. All right, now, so that's all there is to it. Like I said, this is so pretty just the way it is. You can just leave it like this. But what we're going to do is we're going to add some color to it. So what you're going to do is you're going to take, I'm going to put this underneath here so you can see my palette. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to my palette. I'm going to add a little bit of that same blue and the lighter blue. So basically all of the colors that I just used, I didn't use the purple on this one, but I did use the two greens. And you see, you don't need a whole lot. All right, so we're going to go back in with our smaller brush, I think. All right, let's start with the little berries. I don't want to color them in. Don't lose sight of this this whole watercolor piece. We don't want to color it back in. I'm just going to add a little bit of color. All right, a little bit more, just to give it a little bit more depth. Okay, and then when we start pulling the color, you're going to have even more color to pull. All right, here we go. We're just adding little bits of blue here and there. Alrighty. Okay, there we go. Alrighty. So let's clean our brush, pinch it off, and let's add a little bit of yellow to the middle of these. And then we're going to see where we're going to add a little bit of color. Pinch off. Okay. All right, now we're going to add a little bit of yellow, just a little bit here and there to the insides of these guys. And I'm going to go back in. Okay, so there we go. We've got a little bit of yellow in here. Now let's bring some more of our green in. So I'm going to go with my larger brush. I'm going to pinch it off and take the, there we go. Alrighty. We are almost done. Now, I've made this one a little bit lighter just so that you can see the difference between the two of them. But we have to start bringing the color outside the box now, or outside the image. Add a little bit more there and there. Okay, so we've added a little bit more color. And the cool thing about this is if I've lost my lines, like I lost my lines right there, I'm not going to do it a whole lot, but I want to just show you that if you take your image, put it back into your Misty, let's say you added way too much water, all right? You can put it back into your Misty, all right? And that's the beauty of a Misty. You're just going to put it exactly where it was before. Add your color. So what I want to do is I want to show you how to add color to this little leaf right here. All right, so I'm just going to take my marker again. I'm going to add it to, let me just see which leaf that is. All right, I just want to show you how you can, it's not a mistake, but if you just want to make sure that you've got enough color on there, I'm going to take and add the detail back into it. Do you see how I did that? I'll do it to this one right here. You see how kind of washed out it is? Let me just add a little bit of detail. And what I'm doing, I'm sorry you can't see, is I'm just adding my marker to that leaf. You can do it to the whole thing again. But I just want to show you that you can kind of add a little bit to your pieces. And now look at the difference between what it was before and what it is now. All of that detail is back in there. All right, so I've showed you how to do that. Now what we're going to do is to pull the color out to do kind of our watercolor look. All right, let's bring this up just a little bit to show you. All right, so put your water in, or your brush into your water, and then we're going to take and we're just going to take those lines and pull out the color. All right, you just want it to look like a watercolor piece. See how it's starting now? And it's okay if you mix the green with the blue. It gives it a little bit of a gray tone. But we're making these lines a little bit softer. And you see how it's starting to bleed into the outside? It's so, so pretty. Dip. You can tell when it's starting to get a little scratchy. You need more water. And what I mean by that is the brush onto the paper feels a little bit scratchy. All right. Now you don't want to overdo it, because after the water is on there and you walk away or you move on to another piece, you're going to see that it's going to still bleed a little bit. So you don't want to lose sight of all these lines. But that's the good part about your Misty. You can put it back into the Misty. All right. This is such a calming technique. You know, you can just, oh my gosh, you can just sit and play with it. You can come back to it tomorrow and finish it or redo it. So what we're doing now is just softening up the lines. We're going to go back in just a minute and add some more color to it. I'm just pulling these lines into the paper, or into the outline of this. And then you can add whatever sentiment you want. Now, what I love about this die is you can also make bookmarks. Now, the holidays are coming up, and no matter which holiday you celebrate, you can take and you can make bookmarks as gifts. You can do them as favors for a shower or, you know, a party. They're just, this die right here is just absolutely phenomenal. And it's a slim line, so you can use them for your slim lines. You can actually take them off, cut them off, and use them as for your regular cards too. So if you want a regular sized card, I think they're A2s, you can take and do that. All right, so we've softened up these lines just a little bit. We're going to add a little bit more, and this is where you want to add a lot of water. So what I'm doing is, let's push this down so you can see, I'm taking just clear water, okay, and just adding some blue into it. You want a lot of it in there because you don't want it to look like it's stormy here. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of water and my little blue wash. All right. There we go. Just adding a little bit more color, not a lot. You don't want to just color this all in. You just want it to be just random and pretty. Now let's say we got, I'm going to tell you how to fix, all right? Let's say we got a spot that is too dark, all right? Let me do it. Let me just to show you, okay? Let's say we got a spot that was just, oh my gosh, that's just too dark. What you're going to do is you're going to add your water, you're going to pinch it off, okay? And then you're just going to erase. You're just going to add that water and just keep erasing it until it's gone or lightened up to where you want it to be. See how pretty that is? Just soft and subtle. Now this card I made a lot lighter than the first one, but I want to show you side by side the way they look, all right? So this one I did a little bit darker. I can go back in with my blues, all right? Ink up or wet up, pinch it off, and I'm going to use just some of my blues. And if I wanted to add a little bit of color right here, I could do that by just adding a little bit of my darker color right here. All right, but this one I wanted to be softer to show you the difference between the two of them. All right, and depending on how much you pull out, there we go. There. Okay, you see the difference between the two of them, but you can add color if you want to. You can pull more color out if you want. They're just so beautiful. So let's just quickly finish up this card. I'm going to get these out of the way so I don't accidentally stick something in here. I've got my Slimline card base, and like I said, these are the ones that we sell in the shop. I've got my black layer. I'm going to trim this down just a tad bit, I think, because it's a little bit long for me. So I'm going to bring in my cutter and just trim off maybe a ½ inch off of this one. And this is where I said, if you wanted to take and use this on a regular size card, you can do that by just trimming it off. All right, so let's just take and trim off a ½ inch right here. And we are ready to go. Perfect. All right, let's bring in our adhesive. And this right here. I'm not going to put a sentiment on it because I'm going to use this card later on. So I'll add the sentiment afterwards. And then I'm just going to put this right here in the middle. Oh my gosh, isn't that so pretty? But I do think that the sentiment adds a whole lot to it. The ones that we used right here are in the shop. It's called Simple Delights. And this one is I'm Sorry You're Hurting. So these are the two, or yeah, the other one I used on one of the other cards, but those are the sentiments that I used, and that's all there is to this. It doesn't take as long as when you're doing it by yourself, but I was kind of explaining as I went along, so it's just such a beautiful, beautiful art. So I say go grab your stamps that are on sale, your watercolor pieces that are on sale, and stamp right along with me. These are just so much fun. Let me just bring in some of the other cards. So this is the hydrangea. Okay, so this one right here is the poppy. This one is the hydrangea. And these right here are done with the blossom. These are all the blossom borders. And remember, there are 2 pieces to each one. So you can take these and use the border this way and then add this one here so it makes it a frame. It's absolutely beautiful. I hope you enjoyed our post for today. Make sure you subscribe by clicking on the little bell. Hit the thumbs up button and share this with your friends. We absolutely love having you here, and we love having new people watch. So take care, have a great day, and thank you for stopping by.